Hi everyone, it's Lindy on from Pink Whisper Designs. Today I'm really excited to show you a brand new set from Art Impressions. It's a set called Stay Hydrated, and it's so cute because you can interchange the patterns on the little tumbler. So let's go ahead and take a look at the set, and you get this little lady. She's so cute. She's holding the tumbler, and then these are the inserts for the tumbler patterns. So you get 4 different choices. And I'll give you a few tips and tricks in the video for lining those up perfectly on your tumbler. But you could also put a sentiment in there. Several of these would fit right inside that tumbler. You could design your own pattern. You get that individual tumbler that you could use just separately from this set. If you wanted to, you could stamp a whole bunch of those and do a really cute card with that. And then you have all of these coordinated sentiments. We're going to be using 3 of those today. And then I'm going to use my steel die cutters. This is a product that Art Impressions carries, and I'm just going to snip these apart so that I can show you the 2 dies that do come with this set. You get the die that completely cuts out that little lady, and then you get this die that cuts out that individual tumbler. So this is a great set. So what I'm going to do is start my stamping, and let's grab the lady. I've placed some Strathmore Bristol Smooth Cardstock in my mini MISTI stamp positioner. I've got some Versafine Onyx black ink, and we'll go ahead and stamp this. Now we might as well stamp that pattern for the tumbler while we have this in the MISTI. So I'm going to clean off that stamp and put that one away, and then I'm going to select the pattern that I want. I'm going to go with that pattern that is the camouflage pattern. I don't want to take any chances that I won't stamp this in the right place. So I'm going to line it up as best I can. I'll pick that stamp up with the lid of the MISTI, and then I'm going to grab a piece of clear vellum paper. I'll slide that right over top, and then I'm going to ink this up and stamp it, and I'm going to check and make sure that I have it lined up perfectly. This is a great way to double check this before you go ahead and stamp it, because sometimes it just isn't lined up exactly where you want it to be. So rather than mess up the paper that you've already done, you might as well just go ahead and grab a piece of vellum or clear acetate. I find the vellum just as easy to use, and then I can go ahead and stamp this. So once I have this all stamped, let's go ahead and start our coloring. I've got sea green and ice blue, and we're going to give her kind of a blue, turquoise blue blouse, and that's going to coordinate nicely with all the pattern papers we're going to be using today. I'm going to show you how to just make a fun layered card. We're going to just be layering up some circles. I love circles. I don't know what it is, but that's my favorite shape to use on cards. So we're going to use 3 circles on this card today, and we're going to place 3 different sentiments in those. So we're going to add a lot of interest to this card. And what I'm going to do here is use my blender pen to do my blending, and these are the Zig Clean Color Real Brush pens. And the Versafine Onyx black ink that we stamped with is a permanent black ink, so we don't have to worry about any bleeding or anything. And you could also use a water brush here if you prefer. I'm just going to be adding a few shadows here and there with that darker blue, and then I'll blend it out again with that Zig blender pen. Now I don't want to add too many colors. I'm really focusing on the tumbler. I want that to kind of be the star of the show. And then I want her blouse and the rest of her outfit to kind of blend in with the pattern papers that we're going to be using. We're going to use a combination of different blues. We're going to be using a plaid, a stripe, and a little bit of a floral, kind of like a floral vine pattern. And then for the card layer, we're going to use a Kraft color cardstock. So I've got the gray tint, and again, I'm just going to keep her pants and her top in white. I'm just adding a few shadows with that gray tint, just to make it a little bit, give it a little bit more depth. So I started with the pants. I wasn't quite sure at this point what color the top was going to be, so we'll come back to that. And then with light pink and flesh color, I'll color in all of her skin. So I started with a little bit of light pink on the cheeks. I just like to lay that down first I go back and do my blending later, but I like to lay it down first so that I remember to put it on, to put the pink on, and then I can go back to that. And you can see here I'm going to do a little bit of blending. You could also remove a little bit of ink if you get too much. You can just pull it off your cardstock and scribble it onto some scrap paper. And when you're changing colors with this blender pen, you want to just scribble it onto your scrap paper until it goes clear, and then you're good to change to the next color. And then for the sunglasses, I'm going with the brick beige. I'm going to place it down towards the bottom of the glasses, kind of on an angle, and then pull it up towards the top. And then I've got the mocha brown for the frames on the glasses. I did come back in a little bit later with some more of that brick beige and added a little bit more shadow to the lenses. So you can keep coming back in with layers of color. And here's where you see I'm adding a little bit more of that. I thought it just needed a little bit more of a shadow here. And that gives a little more reflection at the top. And then with yellow and beige, I'm going to color in her hair. I'm going to add a few shadows with the beige and blend that in. And I did come back to this later as well. I let it dry a little bit, and then later on off camera I added a few more shadows to this, but basically the same exact process. I just went over it one more time. And then for her little satchel, I'm using that same brick beige. Again, I'm trying to keep the colors fairly muted, just a little bit of that blue, and then the pop of pink will be on our tumbler. So I'll add a few shadows to this and blend that out. Now you could certainly make this any color you want. Again, you could use some paper piecing to paper piece this little satchel with some polka dot paper or some plaids. You could do the same thing for the tumbler or even her outfit. So you can have some fun with this, really change things up. And you could certainly, with a pen, a gel pen, add some polka dots, add some stripes or plaids yourself. And then with pale rose, I'm putting a little bit on the bottom of her lips. I had already added a little bit of the light pink, added a little bit of the pale rose, and just blended that out a little bit. And oh, here's where I grabbed that gray tint again, and I added a little bit to her blouse. And then with pale rose and light pink, I'm going to do the tumbler. I kind of wanted it to have a little bit of an ombre look. So I'm starting with that darker pink. I'm blending that out till it gets a little bit lighter up towards the top. Then I'm coming in with the light pink, and then I'll blend those two together. I did kind of keep coming back over this to make sure I got a nice blend. And I thought that was kind of interesting to add that little bit of an ombre look. You could certainly use more than 2 pinks. You could use 3 or 4 pinks to get a more pronounced ombre effect, but I thought this worked out well. And then for the straw, I'll use that pink and then a little bit of that pale rose for the shadowing. Now I'll grab the coordinating die. We'll go ahead and cut this out. I'm just taping it down with a little bit of Post-it tape. Just taking my time to line that up. And we can go ahead and run that through the die cutting machine. Once my coloring is done, especially on some of these larger items, I like to throw a piece of scrap paper down before I run them through, just to protect everything that I've already colored. I've got my Wink of Stella clear glitter pen, and I'm going to add lots of glitter to this little tumbler. Just a nice coating of that glitter. Again, I want this tumbler to be the star of the show, so I really wanted it to pop out. And when you're changing colors with the Wink of Stella pen, you want to do the same thing you would do with your blender. You want to clean it off on some scrap paper and then go back to your cardstock. And I also did her sunglasses and her shoes. Now I've got the rectangle A2 double stitch dies. I've got that largest one. I'll be die cutting that from some Kraft cardstock. And then here are these pretty blue and white pattern papers that we're going to be using. And those are from the Art Impressions paper pack This is the Easter paper pack, and these are double-sided 6x6 papers. You can see how pretty these are, and they all coordinate together so beautifully. But we're just going to use the blue and white patterns. Let's start off by die cutting that Kraft cardstock with the largest die, and then with the second largest die, we're going to die cut that blue and white striped paper. Now for the rest of the pattern paper, we're going to be using our circle dies. These are the circle double stitch dies, again from Art Impressions. Got that largest one, and then I just picked a couple smaller sizes. So you pick the sizes you like best. I'm going to set that first pattern aside, and I'm going to stick with these three. So we'll use this one for that largest circle, and then we'll use that plaid for the medium circle and the little polka dots for the smallest circle. Let's go ahead and run those through the die cutting machine, and then I'm also going to run a second set of those through with some Strathmore Bristol Smooth 100-pound cardstock, and we'll just glue these two together. That will just give us a little bit more substance to these circles. I'm just going to use my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive. I'll just spread that around a little bit with my finger, and then we'll glue these together. So I did that for all of these, and you can see how pretty these are. So with this larger circle, we're going to stamp a sentiment, and I want it to be kind of like underneath her foot. And then we might as well stamp the other sentiments at the same time. So I'm going to position her down. I am going to be cutting off a little bit of the right-hand side of that circle. So I'm moving her in just a little bit to the left, and then let's select some of our sentiments. So this first one will say, pour me another one. And then for that smaller circle, it will say sippin' pretty. And for that last one, it will say cheers to making waves and staying hydrated. So these are really cute, but there's tons more sentiments. So pick the ones you like best. Just thought it'd be cute to have one little sentiment under her where she's kicking up her foot a little bit. So we'll do that same thing using that Versafine Onyx Wax ink. We can go ahead and stamp these. And what's nice about placing these in the MISTI, if you didn't get a perfect stamping, you can go back in and ink these up again. And you can see I'm going to do that here. Just going to touch that up just a little bit. Sometimes with these really bold images, it does require a couple of stampings. So I'll just lightly press that out and complete that stamping. And then let's go ahead and glue these two layers together, the two rectangles. And I'm going to center this on that Kraft cardstock. And do keep in mind that all the products I'm using today are listed and linked down below for you, and also on my blog. And it does help me out if you use those links to make your purchases. I do get a small commission, but it really helps me to keep the channel going and to bring you new products. So let's glue this one down flat, that medium size one. And then for this circle, I'm going to pop this up. So I've got some 3D foam tape. I'm going to just apply this all over the back. Now, since we do know we're going to cut off a little portion of this circle, you could certainly take that into consideration when you're applying the tape. I didn't really think about that, so I applied the tape all over, and then we'll just cut that away. So either way is fine. I'm going to place this again off to the right. Just want to make sure that sentiment is nice and straight. I'll grab my Holtz titanium shears because those will cut through this nicely. Get one nice clean cut. Now once that's done, let's go ahead and grab the smaller sentiment, and I'm going to pop this up with a double layer of that same foam tape. So we'll add one little square of it, and then I'm going to add a second little chunk of that, and this will have even a little bit more height. So we've got 3 different layers of height. And then we're also going to be popping up our little lady as well. So we're going to have lots of dimension on this. I'm going to be using the scrapbook.com small adhesive squares. They're not quite as dimensional, so I'm going to just place those all over the back of this and pop that in place. And then I've got these really pretty gems. These are from Buttons Galore and More, and they're called Sparkletz. And this one is called Barefoot Beach. And again, I'll list and link that down below for you. These are really pretty because you get light pink, you get pearl, you get these little stars, and you get some like translucent pink ones. So it had a nice collection in it. I've placed a few of those all over the front of the card, and I picked those up with my Marvy Jewel Picker, and then again use that Nuvo Deluxe adhesive to place those down. Let's create the card base. And for that, I'm going to go back to that same Strathmore Bristol Smooth 100-pound cardstock. I've cut this to 4 1/4 by 11 inches. I'm going to score that at 5 1/2 inches. And that'll be a standard A2 size top folding card. We can go ahead and glue this entire piece to the front of our card. And I think this is a great card for friendship or birthday, for thinking of you, just a hello card. I just love it. I know I'm going to use this lady over and over again. This is just a great little set. Really fun to place those little inserts in the tumbler. So I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I hope you enjoyed seeing this brand new product. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you don't miss a single video. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you all have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.